Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is J Money here, and I'm bringing you guys a revised version of the Chalice Unbreakable board. The reason being, not only has Chalice won YCS Bokum, and that by no way, shape, or form means it's a meta deck. Take my word for it. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend trying to pick the deck up. In fact, I went to locals yesterday and went completely undefeated, but there was surprisingly only one other Chalice player, and this guy was definitely not playing Chalice last week. So, but he scrubbed out really fast, which brings me to my next point, which is this deck right here. Chalice is not, and I repeat, not a deck that you can just pick up and get down over the course of a week. You can't. I'm 6 months into this deck, and even I still make misplays. Now, with that being said, this deck takes time. It takes countless hours of theory, deck testing, especially against other matchups. Side deck testing, that's incredibly important. And all that good stuff. It takes, you know, in ratios, all that stuff. You know, and it takes, and you never stop testing with this deck. You never stop improving, simply for the fact that, one, you have to play your ass off when you play this deck. You have to play superbly. You have to play and not make misplays, because if you make a misplay, it can easily cost you a game. But if you take the time to master this deck, it will, and I repeat, it will reward you heavily. Now, what contributed to the YCS Bokum winner? What contributed to his victory, should I say? Well, if you combine the fact that, one, not a lot of people anticipate the matchup, so they don't have a dedicated sideboard for it. Two, not a lot of people know all the ins and outs of the deck, so they don't know where to stop and what to stop, which it's pretty difficult because there's a bunch of right cards to stop, but you probably likely open a bunch of right cards. And so, opening like an Ash against like a Brilliant Fusion does nothing if I reveal my hand and I show a Venus and a Legacy, and I have a Skull Deet and all that stuff, and a Waterfront. It just means nothing. But anyway, things like that can easily contribute to a deck's success if you don't know what you're doing against the deck fully. And the pilot of the deck has absolutely showed exemplary play that can, you know, give you a nice formula for success. Now, this is definitely not a copy-paste build of his deck, because there's still cards I don't agree with. But we saw some of the things that he could do. We saw, you know, things like Skull Dread, Firewall, and Gamma Seal on the board, but this was also under pressure, and this was, yeah, he had, you know, this is also under some disruptions. But what if, you know, you're playing this deck, and what if you don't have any disruptions on the receiving end? What all can this deck do now 6 months later? And that's exactly what this video is all about. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to open our 5. Now right here, you would think that this is a pretty dead hand, and you could... Oh. And you can be right. However, there are some things that you can do. So, we're going to start. We're going to normal summon this guy. We're going to link him off. We are going to summon our trusty M-Duck. And we're going to immediately go ahead and tribute summon this guy right off. Right to the graveyard you go. And from here, we're actually going to have to activate Monster Reborn, because we're going to make an Aurum. From here, Legacy is going to go ahead and trigger, and we're going to get summon 2 from the deck. Be sure these, you summon, Guard Dragon can be in a zone, but the other monster cannot be in a zone. If you're going this route, if you didn't open that great, this is what you gotta do. So we're gonna use Lee, and we're gonna go and search this guy. And now what you're going to do is you're going to link this off into Link Karibo. Now this is why I play Link Karibo. Link Karibo gives me the option, because a lot of times you want to send this to the graveyard, but a lot of times you don't want to use 2 monsters to do it. And Link Karibo is a nice addition to the deck, and it also extends your Ningirsu plays heavily. Now from here, we're going to go ahead, and this is exactly why you want to keep your zones open except Guard Dragon, because now we're going to go and banish. And we're going to special summon to a zone it points to. It's got to be in defense, of course. But from here, since we still have a wonky hand, we got 4 monsters, and now we're going to go ahead and make our Scoldite now. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up. I'm going to draw 4 cards, I'm going to bottom deck 3, and we're going to see what happens. Now, see what we get. Okay, we got Waterfront, we got Venus, we got these. So this is good. This is okay, and unfortunately, every single card I drew into is a good card. And you will run into this at times, so we're going to go ahead and bottom deck this. And we're going to bottom deck this. And we are going to bottom deck this. Because we have a World Legacy's Heart, it's going to equal 2 cards. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to activate our Waterfront now. Alright, now from here we are going to go ahead and activate said World Legacy's Heart, and we're going to snatch up 2 monsters from the graveyard. Now we're going to use Scoldite. Now this hits the grave, so I'm going to use cards as counters since I don't have a dice on me. Yeah, we're going to do that. So 1 card is going to equal 1 counter. We got 1 counter so far since this hit the graveyard. Now we're going to use Scoldite's effect special. And we're going to go and activate 1500 right off the bat. And we're going to go ahead and special summon 3 Shine Balls, because that's not broken. Alright. Now from here, we're going to link 1 into an Imduck. Because since we have 2 names in hand, we can do this as intended. Now, granted, I didn't open Venus opening hand, but that doesn't matter because I got into it with a Scoldite. And we're going to link this into a Link Spider, if I can find you. So that's a 3rd counter. Now we're going to use Waterfront, and we're going to add Gamma Seal. Now, for those of you who are watching that are still interested in building and playing this deck, you might want to wait until 4 counters are on this, but I'm just doing this just to speed up the process. But you might want to wait until there's 4 counters, because if you try to search on counter number 3 and they have a Ghost Ogre in hand, granted you can remove a counter to save itself, but now that it won't have 2 in hand, or now that you won't have 3 or more counters, you won't get to resolve the effect search, so keep that in mind. Now, we're going to go and link these 2, and I'm going to go ahead and summon Ningirsu. Now this deck is amazing for the fact that it can chain block. Chain blocking is your best friend. Now both of these effects, his effect to boost and his effect to draw, are both mandatory. So making him chain link 1 automatically blocks you from an Ash Blossom, and that's what you want. That's amazing, it's great news. So you're going to make this chain link 1, chain link 2, but you know, you can also cover these as well, chain link 3, chain link 4, which is exactly what we're going to do because we want to draw 2 cards. Now, we're going to go ahead and cut, and we're going to get our 2. Alright, let's see what else we got. Okay, we got Guard Dragon, and we have a Brilliant Fusion. That is really nice. So, from here, now we're going to go ahead and link this up. And we are going to make a Firewall Dragon right here, not under the Scoldite. Now from here, I want to go ahead and activate said Brilliant Fusion. And I'm going to go ahead and send me a Lazuli, and any other monster, it really doesn't matter what it is, because it is going to help us get us where we need to go. Now Lazuli is going to help us, and we're going to go ahead and grab a Shine Ball. Now from here, we're going to activate Venus's effect again, and we're going to summon our said Shine Ball. We're going to go ahead and put it here. Now, I want to immediately go into a Tri-Gate Wizard with these. I want to go with these. No, as a matter of fact, I want to go in, yeah, with these. I want to go in with these. We're going to make our set Tri-Gate. So Firewall can special summon. As of now, we're going to go ahead and drop it to the board. Now from here, I want to go ahead and normally I want to go ahead and summon Ib, but if I do that, I have more than 4 fairies in the graveyard. So if I end up doing that, I would be stuck, because I already used Guard Dragon. In fact, you know what? There is another way we can do this. We're going to go and link this away, and we're going to make our Imduck. Now we're going to use Lee's effect from the graveyard, and we're going to go ahead and sack off the Imduck and add our Lee to hand. Now this is going to accomplish 2 things. One is going to accomplish Imduck's effect to special summon a monster from hand, so we could have 2 monsters of different types of attributes, and Firewall's effect to special summon. So make Firewall Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, special this off of Imduck, and Gameciel will be dropped off of a Firewall Dragon. Now from here, we can finally finish off our combo and link into our Ib, World Chalice Priestess. Firewall's effect will trigger, and we can summon our Archlord Christia. So, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a potential 2 to 3 negates for this, depending on if you're smart enough to let a card go. A potential 4th negate with Tri-Gate, combined with the fact that you can't special summon any monsters onto the board, and Firewall is live. These are the boards that you desire to make. These are the real Unbreakable boards. I've seen that Pendulum players 4 negates, or 4 disruptions kind of thing. Now, which one's better? You know, 3 negates and a bounce, or 1 bounce, potentially 4 negates, but guaranteed 3 negates, and being unable to special summon a monster. This is a real Unbreakable board here, and this is off of a suboptimal hand as well. Scoldy fixes that. Now, if I drew into Venus, it would have been infinitely better, and I wouldn't have to go through as many loopholes. But, you know, you have to do what you have to do. It's hands like that to where if you know what you're doing, you're good to go. Now, I want to say this. I went completely undefeated at my locals yesterday with this deck. I played against 2 Pendulum Magicians. I played against Metal Foes, which his was actually pretty good. A weird Time Lord burn-ish kind of deck. Stall, Banish. It was surprisingly good. He only lost twice, actually, against me and an ABC player. I played against a Dino player who was playing a bunch of hand traps, but he couldn't play. And again, that World Chalice player that was there scrubbed out really fast. I went undefeated. I took every Pendulum player, though. I was tough. I took every last one in the game 3, but of course, side deck is a thing, and executing your strategies perfectly and knowing exactly what you're doing is very, very important. Now, I want to say that people are starting to cite sphere modes, not because it ain't because of this deck, it's because Pendulums can make a bunch of oppressive stuff. Now, I've been sphere moded with this exact board, but the problem is people feel like if this gets broken, then the deck's done. Far from the truth. As long as you have this engrave, and what's his name? This engrave, you can easily bounce back. easily and kill your opponent the next turn. People don't realize that. People think, okay, I can breathe, and I go draw, banish Legacy, add Laurel Legacy's Heart, get 2 cards, Lee, add back to hand, guard Dragon, and then you just start everything up again. Sometimes I keep an Exodius in hand just in case it gets broken. It's very doubtful it gets broken, but it can happen. And that's where this deck comes in. I really like this deck, and this deck is only going to get better with the inclusion of Flames of Destruction when we get the Troy Mares, because this deck abuses Troy Mares so easily. When we get our World Legacy Inheritor, because it's an index searchable Monster Reborn, we're going to have 5 Monster Reborns now. Now, I do want to go into the fact that Abyss Dweller is being used a lot in a lot of Pendulum decks, and it's actually doing work against this deck. Not for the ways you think, but it's because all these World Chalice extra deck monsters, they all get their effects to summon a World Chalice from their hand when they're sent to the graveyard. If you're unable to activate that effect, you can no longer mask and chain block, which my one of the Pendulum players actually put up a Dweller against me, and I was unable to chain block my Skull Dread draw with an Induct, and he was free to Ash me, which was actually a really smart play on his part. And that actually hurt, and it hurt a little bit. And that sucks. But, you know, I still beat him, though. I still beat him because, you know, this deck does what this deck does. So, let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys think about World Chalice in general. Again, I didn't anticipate World Chalice topping, let alone winning this soon. I didn't expect them to do anything successful until Flames of Destruction, to where we just got a massive boost from all that good stuff. But alas, I feel like I had to make this a little bit earlier, simply for the fact that now that World Chalice have won a YCS, it is now on people's radars. Now again, this is in no way, shape, or form a meta deck. It needs to prove itself by multiple tops, and I do plan to go to the YCS in Utah. So I will be taking this deck right here with me, and hopefully I will, you know, get the same amount of victories I did yesterday as I've always been doing. You know, I've won a UDS, I've topped a regional, I've won countless locals with this deck, and it continues to prove itself. It's tried and true. That is, if you've spent enough time with this deck and mastered this deck. Again, if you master it, it will reward you heavily. So let me know what you guys think about this Unbreakable board versus my last one. And this is J Money, and I'm signing out.